March 17th, 2022. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 253 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
Sorry we're a little late with this episode. How are you feeling, Dr. Mike?
Hanging in there.
Good. Very good.
Barely.
Well, there's some good news. You know, we start off these episodes with things that are in the news, and a lot of times they're bad. But here's some good news. There was legislation that was introduced on March 3rd by U.S. Representatives Dina Titus, a Democrat from Nevada, and Guy Reschenthal, a Republican from Pennsylvania, so bipartisan. It's a bill that would increase the threshold for W2Gs on slot machines and video poker from $1,200 to $5,000. Long overdue change that
long
needs
overdue.
to make. That $1,200 limit has been in place since 1977.
It's so antiquated.
Almost a half a century ago. Yeah.
Think about it. When you go out to dinner with your family, a family of four, if you, not fast food, but you go to like a regular restaurant, with tip and everything, what are you spending?
Oh, I don't know. Depending on the size of the family, $100 maybe, right? You know, depending on the...
Yeah, no, I mean, probably more, right? If it's a decent restaurant,
oh, okay. If you're going somewhere nice,
if you're going somewhere nice, it could be $300-$400.
I see what you're saying. Sure,
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, think about that. I mean, $1,200 gets you like, 3 or 4 dinners, right?
Okay,
I mean, half a tank of gas.
Yes.
Something like that. I mean, it's ridiculous to be paying taxes on that.
What is infuriating, too, is a few years back, the IRS was actually pushing to lower the limit to $600,
right?
Which thankfully didn't go anywhere. But got high hopes for this, again, because it's bipartisan. And, other than the IRS, I can't think of any group that would be opposed to this. Certainly gamblers like it because they're not getting as many tax forms.
Right.
The casinos are going to love it because they're not filling out as many.
The paperwork,
Right, exactly.
Well, and think about it, too. I mean, you're playing a high-limit slot. $1,200.
Yeah.
It
happens constantly.
It happens constantly. Yeah. That's just ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, it really isn't that much money in today's world. I know that sounds weird.
Well, no, but
$1,200 is a lot to me.
Sure, but
when you put it in perspective,
exactly, $1,200 in 1977.
Yeah, that was a little bit more money, right?
So hopefully this will go through, and it'll be nice.
I was making $1.35 an hour working, so $1,200 was a lot.
It was a lot back then.
Yeah,
you weren't going to Vegas a lot. And
I wasn't going to Vegas
slots.
A lot in 77.
It'll be nice because it will put the $4,000 payout for a Royal on $1 video poker under that threshold.
Under the limit, right.
Yeah, so keep your fingers crossed for that. All right, you ready for the bad news?
Yeah, now we'll transition to the normal news.
Okay, right. So you've probably heard Calvin Ridley, who's a wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, was suspended indefinitely, at least through the end of the 2022 NFL season, for betting on games during 2021. He was not actively playing with the Falcons when he made these bets. He made 3 parlay bets. Ridley had stepped away from football in October for what he said was mental health reasons. So he wasn't playing.
Yes.
But he made these bets. And so they have suspended him indefinitely.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous what?
Ridiculous that they suspended him even.
You think so?
Yeah, he wasn't playing football. So if we take every player who's in the NFL right now and said, at some point when you weren't in the NFL, you made a sports bet, we're getting rid of you. That would get rid of all of them. Because I'm sure in college they made some sports bets.
Yeah. But this is, I'm going to have to disagree with you because, he's not playing, but he's still on the roster.
Yeah.
He's still within the whole culture and everything.
How did he influence the game?
I'm not saying that he did. Here's the thing. Okay, so a lot of people are saying, hey, the NFL is hypocritical, right? Because it's like they're promoting gambling now.
Right. They love people to gamble on the NFL.
But here's the thing, I don't think it's hypocrisy because you want to maintain the integrity of the game. Now, I'm no fan of the NFL. Let me first state that as an organization. Right.
Probably the worst organization in the United States, and football is one of my top 2 favorite sports.
But if you're going to embrace gambling, and I think that's good because people are gambling anyway, you have to have some policies in place to prevent corruption or anything else, right? And one of those things, which is a good rule, is to say that your active players cannot make wagers. And
on the NFL.
I'm on the NFL, right, on the NFL.
They can do it on baseball.
Well, I would say no sports, but okay, fine. Just not on the NFL. And by active players, I mean, somebody who's still under contract. Okay,
Right,
just because
right.
you're on the DL doesn't mean, that you can. So I think that this has to be in place, right? You have to have things
Right,
like this.
okay.
And he knew the rules. It's not like he could have been ignorant to the fact that he shouldn't be making these bets. So I think it's good that he's been suspended for next season. Okay, I think that's enough. Is that too harsh? Oh,
I think it's maybe too harsh.
I won't argue with that. Maybe it is too harsh. But you have to have something in place.
So what's to stop somebody who, my best friend plays for a team?
Yeah.
Let's say he's a kicker.
Yeah, I know where
And
you're
he
going
calls
with
me
this.
up and says, hey, if this game's tight or something, I could miss a kick. I mean,
look, there are
a million ways to cheat.
There are ways around it.
Right.
But you have to have something in place.
You have to
all
set
right?
some rules and stand
You have
by
to
them.
put some rules in
Right.
place, okay?
Like the speed limit. Right? Like the speed limit. We have a speed limit rule on our highways. Okay, it's 65. If you're going 70, that's okay. 75, yeah, that's okay. 76, that's when we get you.
Okay.
I mean, rules are ridiculous like that.
You have to have rules, okay? You have to have some rules in place. Let's continue to talk about Ridley, though, in particular. He went on Twitter and he tweeted, I bet $1,500 total. I don't have a gambling problem. Well, here's somebody who just doesn't get it, right?
Right.
He's not suspended because he's got a gambling problem.
Right.
He's suspended because he bet on the NFL, and
right.
the Falcons. Right,
right.
The team that
now
he's
that's
on.
the problem. I'd have a thing. If I was commissioner, I'd say, yeah, you want to make some sports bets, okay, but you can never bet on your team, for or against.
Yeah, okay.
But then again, you've got buddies on other teams.
All right, so they're yeah, exactly.
I mean,
you're within the whole culture of the NFL, and
right.
yeah, exactly. So another tweet: I couldn't even watch football at that point. Now, I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, he couldn't watch it, but he could bet on it?
Maybe he meant he wasn't at the stadium I don't even know what that means. Of course, we can all watch football. Maybe he just meant he wasn't at the game.
Well, he was having some emotional problems, obviously, right?
Right, that might be some of it.
Maybe
sure.
he couldn't watch football because it brought up, weird feelings in him.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what he meant.
And then he says, just going to be more healthy when I come back. And that's him trying to put a spin on a bad situation because he's going to lose, what was it, like $11.5 million by not playing next year. So anyway, and as we're recording this, there are more reports coming in that maybe those weren't the only bets that he made.
Right.
So again, this is kind of an ongoing
So
story.
like most situations in our world, wait a minute, let me rephrase that.
All right.
Like all situations in our world, there's way more going on than we ever know about or find out about or care about.
Yeah.
And so, to make past judgment is weird because we never know the facts ever on anything.
Well, right. And I mean, but we can still talk about things.
Yeah, we could talk about it.
We may not have all the information, but let's talk about it.
Let's be serious. He should have just been smarter.
Oh,
just give your money to a friend and have him make the bets.
I mean, yeah.
It's as easy as that, right?
It really
is.
If
you really want to bet.
You really want to make the bets.
You really want to make a bet. You go with your friend to Vegas and, he makes some bets and you go play blackjack.
Yeah.
Right.
So, this is always going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Sure.
Because sports now, in the United States at least, have embraced gambling. I don't think that's going to change. And there will be more scandals coming up.
And
right?
I
That's
don't
just
think it's
human
going to be
nature.
with players. I think it's going to be with referees and officials, things like that. I think that's the real problem.
I think you're right, only because pro sports players in the United States are paid pretty well.
Right. I mean, you're making millions of dollars. I shouldn't even say this because they do it all the time. They always screw up and do something stupid, get in a fight or something. I mean, you're making millions of dollars. Go play your game. Go home, sit in your room and watch TV until the next game. Why give away your money by doing stupid asinine things?
Yeah.
But that happens all the time.
Well, of course.
But what I'm saying is it's going to be referees who aren't paid as well, who don't have as much money, who tell their buddy, hey, make a big bet on this game because it's going to be close.
Right.
One way or another, it's going to be close.
So, again, these scandals are going to happen. I don't think the solution is to just ban gambling again, because, again, like any vice, like prohibition, right?
Right.
It's,
It
it's
never
going to be
works.
done, right?
No,
so,
right.
get a handle on it if you can, or as best you can.
As best you
Because you'll
can.
never completely get a handle on it.
Right. And
sure.
that's what it boils down to. Get a handle on it as best you can.
Yep.
We've had baseball players with electronic devices in their uniform. We've had basketball referees shaving points in games and stuff.
Yep.
How do you stop that?
Yeah, you try to stop it. And
you try to, or at least make it seem like you're trying to, right?
Yeah.
So that people are still betting. But how do you stop that? I think as a gambler, it's just part of the game.
Okay. All right.
It's part of the game.
But
it's like at the end of a football game where, you need them to kick a field goal, but there's no way they're going to because they're just going to run out the clock.
Right. They don't need to, right?
They don't need to. And it's just part of what you have to accept as a gambler.
Well, but don't just throw up your hands and say that's the way it is if you can make some kind of change. Or if I'm saying as gamblers, maybe we can't, but certainly, if you're the NFL, you have to do something.
The NFL's concerned about one thing.
I understand what the NFL's concerned about, and it's green.
And it's green, right?
All right. Hey, well, this last weekend, we had our 4th semi-annual, you can bet on that, online poker tournament. Another success, I think.
Yes, there was absolutely zero cheating.
As far as I could tell,
it was zero cheating. It was not rigged in any way.
Yep.
And to prove that, look where I went out.
You went out 100th, my friend, 100th. Out of I think 156 entrants we had. Now, for complete transparency here, Mike and I were on the phone with each other the whole time.
Yes, we were.
So if we had been on the same table, we might have been able to work together to try to get kick all of our listeners off a table. But no,
we won't even tell each other what we have unless we're after the fact.
Yeah,
something.
we're pretty competitive with each other as well. But anyway, a very good tournament. You went out in exactly 100th place, right?
I was catching nothing. Early on, I had a couple of hands.
Yeah, you went up real quick.
I had a couple of good hands early. After that, nothing.
Yeah.
I was just slowly being blinded out, and every once in a while, I'd see a flop just to see if I catch nothing. So I'd see a flop and fold. That was it for me.
Yeah, and we've structured the tournament so that there's not a lot of play, right? Otherwise, it would go on forever. So you need to catch some cards along the way.
Yeah, we don't want a 10-hour tournament or anything.
Exactly. So you went out in 100th place. John B., friend of the show, John B., was the one who took you out. He actually ended up winning the whole tournament.
Yeah, well, isn't that the second time that's happened?
That's the second time that's happened. The person that takes you out goes on to win.
Right, so that's the incentive to go after me. That's why I can never win. People call no matter what. I couldn't bluff. I can't bluff aces through.
There are targets on our back. There's no question about that. I went out in 17th place, significantly ahead of you. Should have had a last longer bet going on there. So second time in a row, I've made the final 2 tables. Gambling D6921 took me out. And going back to how we finished, second place went to Cisco Kid 27. And third place went to Chauncey Street, who is our good friend Jim from New York.
Yeah, I was glad he
got in the money there. Yeah. Now, also, listener Richard, who has done this in the past, offered to make a $100 donation to whomever finished in first place. Again, that was John B. He selected as his charity Safe Call Now, a confidential, comprehensive 24-hour crisis line and support service for first responders, emergency services personnel, medical professionals, and their family members nationwide. So
excellent
a good
choice.
charity
Excellent
there.
Choice, yeah.
In addition, listener Jimmy also said that he would make a $25 donation to whomever took us out. So John B. also got $25 additional for Safe Call Now. And then Gambling D6921 chose as his charity, he was the one who took me out, the National Brain Tumor Society. So some good causes there. Yeah. Now, Tim Lawson also gave a $25 gift certificate to the person who took him out. That was A.S. Beams. Tim went out in 27th place, and A.S. Beams, we're still waiting to hear back from him, but Jimmy's also going to make a $25 donation to the charity of his choice.
Excellent.
And then I thought this was kind of funny. Ed O'Connor, who runs a 33 pool that we're a part of every year, he ended up in 33rd place.
Wow.
So what do you think about that?
Now that's rigged, Mark. That was rigged. It was just waiting for 34 to go out. I'm all in. I fold.
Thank you, everyone. Another great tournament. I hope everybody had a good time. And again, we'll do this on the Sunday before the NFL season starts. So
it's fun.
It's
fun
a lot of fun
to see, even if I play terribly.
Yes. That's part of the fun.
That's
Dr.
part of
Mike.
the fun,
That's
yeah.
right. I know at all the other tables, I could see in the chats, Dr. Mike, ooh, Dr. Mike's out. Oh, he's out. Oh.
Well, you know what it is I am so worried about, winning every tournament.
yes.
Because that would look bad.
That would
so
look bad.
I sacrifice myself. You always have to make it to the end.
You didn't have to go on 100th, though, Mike. See,
100's a nice number. Mr. Monk would be happy.
Yeah, you're right. It's a nice even number there. Well, speaking of poker tournaments, a few weeks ago, our Tuesday night poker home game group decided to go to Hamul Casino here
Yes.
by us on a Saturday morning and play in their weekly Saturday morning tournament, which is a $40 tournament with one rebuy and an add-on after the first hour. And there's also unlimited re-entries if you want to do it for the first hour.
For a certain amount of time, yeah.
Although I don't think a lot of people did that. A lot of people showed up for this tournament. And Mike, you came along to watch us
I came
play as
along
well.
to watch, yeah. And it was amazing how many people were there. I couldn't believe it.
I had such a good time. It's been a long time since I've played a tournament in a casino. And believe it or not, it's the first time I've played a no-limit Hold'em tournament in a casino. In the past, it's been Omaha games.
Right.
But
I had a good time watching just because of the characters.
oh, yeah.
My
For
God.
the most part, the people who played were fantastic. Very
Yes.
pleasant. We started conversations, but we have a couple of stories here. So the table that I was at one point, a new player came to the table, and a few hands later, he called somebody who was all in. A player to my left was all in. This other player called. Well, a king fell on the river that gave the better hand to the all-in player.
Right.
Right?
He ended up with
he
Trip
ended up
Kings.
surviving, right? And the guy who had called him, who ended up losing the hand, accused the dealer of cheating. The way you flipped your hand there at the end.
Well, he said he dealt it from the bottom.
Yeah,
was
I
claiming-
saw the way that
Yeah, I saw you
dealt
deal it from the bottom. And then he said, "You've done this before to me. I've seen you do it."
And at first we thought, he's just joking. He's upset that he lost. But he kept going on and on about it.
He would not let it go.
And the dealer said, "Look, you've got to stop or I'm going to call the floor." And the guy kept going. And I said to the dealer, "Call the floor."
Yeah,
because it's ruining
ridiculous.
it for everybody.
Right.
And so the floor came over and admonished him. And the guy did shut up the rest of the time.
Yeah, and then was out later.
Yeah.
Funny thing, just a side note, afterwards, I'm standing there watching, right? I'm talking to the pit, and the pit boss says to me, "None of our dealers here are good enough to cheat." He said a lot of them can barely deal the game.
See, and this is what it comes down to. It's kind of hard to teach people critical thinking. And if you really think about this, are you going to have a dealer cheating for a specific player at the table at the 10 a.m. $40 buy-in tournament at a San Diego County casino?
Right.
If you're that good a dealer, maybe you should be working somewhere else.
You're holding kings on the bottom. Yeah, I think maybe you should be making some money somewhere.
But I'm sure there's no convincing this guy. He really thinks he was cheated. And, also, he was saying, you've done this to me before. So he's obviously a regular. Why does he keep coming back? And if he really thinks he's being cheated.
Now,
anyway.
and here's the funniest part of the whole story. Continue on.
All right, so the very next hand. The very next hand. I call pre-flop. I've got ace 10. I might have been in a blind. I don't know. But anyway, because normally I don't play ace 10, but I was getting short stacked. And the flop came 10-8-8. And I thought, well, I've got to go all in here. I was pretty short stacked. And my only competition was this guy who was kind of wild.
He was a wild better, yeah.
If I thought about it more, I might have convinced myself he could very easily have an 8.
Right.
Well, he flipped over his hand, and sure enough, he had ace 8. And so it's like, okay, I'm getting ready to go.
He has trips. You've got two pair.
The turn comes. It doesn't help me. Then the river comes. And it's a 10.
So your trip 10s beat his trip ace.
So we both have full houses now, and mine is a higher full house with 10s full. And so everybody at the table, he's stealing seconds. He's dealing off the bottom of the deck. And the guy who I beat, he knew that the dealer wasn't cheating.
Right.
So, even though he was upset that he lost, he was laughing along with all of us. Like,
and I'm making a big stink about it. Oh my God, 2 people get beat on the river in succession? That never happened.
Yeah,
I've never seen anybody get
obviously
beat
cheating.
on the river.
Either that or we're playing on Poker Stars.
Are you guys in the NFL?
So one more thing about the tournament. They paid the top 18 places.
Yes.
Right? And so there are 20 people left, and I'm ridiculously short stacked.
You were by far the shortest stack.
And so my strategy at this point is just survive and hope that 2 other people get knocked out. Right?
You turned to me as the hands being dealt and said, maybe I should just fold and hope that 2 people get knocked out at the same time.
Yeah.
And the dealer you were sitting next to, he starts laughing and says, yeah, maybe you should do that. And sure enough.
Well, finally, it's like I'm in the big blind and I don't even have enough for the big blind.
Right.
So I'm taking my chips. I'm about to push them out there. And then from another table, we've lost 2 more on a single hand. 2 people at another table went out.
Yeah.
And so
that made it to the final 18.
18. And then, of course, I did go out on the next hand. I didn't have any money. So I made them. I slipped in just under the wire.
The dealer got a big kick out of that.
Yeah.
They were talking about it.
I know the pit when I cashed out.
You moved tables because they combined tables.
Yeah.
And the guy was at the other table and I'm standing next to him. He's laughing. He says, oh my God, he called it. 2 people went out.
So I got pretty lucky at least 2 times. So only one other player in our poker home game group continued on. That was David. He ended up finishing in 7th place. And I think they made a deal. He ended up with like $500 or something like that.
Yeah,
so
they have a really
well.
interesting thing out there when it gets to the final table. They just chop it, the whole table, but they don't divide the money evenly.
Well, no, they use the independent chip model, which is
that's
something that is standard basically in poker and is well regarded as a fair way to do it.
It's a fair way to do it.
You still have to get everybody to agree to do a deal, and sometimes there's a holdout, but it worked out good there.
It's a tournament though for not a big amount of money,
right.
And so why not do that and then go play in a cash game?
Do something else,
which is what most of the guys want to do, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
As soon as people were out, the cash games all filled up because they just wanted to play more poker.
Yep, exactly.
So,
and most of the players from our poker home game also did that.
Right.
Now, I haven't told you this.
Okay.
So here's what happened to Bill when he went to play. So he's in a 1-3 no-limit cash game.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And he's got pocket kings, and the flop came ace, king, 3.
Okay.
And so he's thinking, oh, fantastic, right? I hope somebody has an ace,
right,
and wants to go in there. Well, long story short, he goes all in. 2 other players go all in.
Really?
One has pocket 3s.
Okay.
The other has pocket aces.
Wow.
Set over set over set. So he got wiped out with trip kings against trip aces on the flop.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and there's a potential there for bad beat.
The bad beat.
Right. You know what, that didn't play out. So Bill was not really happy. I asked him, how'd it go? Because usually he brags about how, I got knocked out of the tournament, but then I made, $200 in the cash game. Not this time. Set over set over set.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's poker, right?
Oh yeah.
That's why it's so silly. Like that one guy was acting like nobody ever loses on the river.
Right.
That's the story of my life.
Well, and you hear a lot of people too complain about online, especially about poker stars.
Yeah.
It's rigged. It's hey, this happens in real life too, right?
All
you would
the
think this
time.
would have been rigged too, based on the things that we saw at this tournament, the cash
all
game.
the time.
So.
But it was fun. I enjoyed watching.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a lot
really
of fun. We're going to have to do it again. I was actually surprised at how much fun I have because I always think, oh, God, I'm in a casino. I'm playing poker. I'm itching to get to a faster game like, craps or anything else. But no, I was just loving it, just really having a good time. So, hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first. YouCanBetOnThat.com and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to some voicemails. First up is Tony.
Hey, Mark, Dr. Mike, this is Tony from Jamestown, New York. I'm out here in Las Vegas, and I was just at Ellis Island, and I just colored up for $203, and I wasn't taking 3 singles with me, so I said, you know what, let's do a 2-way C, and it hit, so I had like $8, and I said, well, I can't take $8 now, so I threw 5 in the field, and it hit. So I stacked it up, and it hit again. And then I stacked it up, and it hit again. So now I started adding 10 every time it hit, and throwing 5 down there, player controlled for the boys. And we got that thing all the way up to about 140. And I said, you know what? It's time to pull this down to 5 and 5. And wouldn't you know it, here come an 8. It was brilliant. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen at a craps table that I was involved with. Just thought I'd share with it. Thought you guys might get a kick out of her. Take care.
He was just trying to get rid of the money.
Yeah.
Just
all he wanted to do was, we wanted to cash out. I want to get rid of this.
He doesn't want to have to deal with the singles.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
He made that much more for himself and for the dealers.
Next time, though, Tony, you cash out, you take the singles, and on your way home, you throw the $3 out the window.
Oh, yeah.
As you're driving.
Just some kind of protest.
Yeah, just, I don't need these $3.
I don't think I've seen you do that. I've actually seen you throw chips into the garbage.
Yeah.
The Caesar's Palace chips when they used to be metal. Right? And
Just throwing them in the trash can.
pissing off the pit boss, but I've never seen you actually throw them out of a car. I'll have to remind you.
One of these times I'm going to ask for 20 singles, and as I'm driving through the parking lot, just toss them out the window.
Okay, good. I'm going to hold you to that. We got an email from Tony as well with some suggestions for doing Vegas with a spouse. And I think we'll hold that for a future episode. He's got some good suggestions there.
Okay.
So watch for that coming up. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is M from New York City. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a fairly new listener and a first-time caller. I probably started listening in late 2020 or early 2021. And I have a feeling my voice and pronouns are unique to this show. Anyway, I'm just calling with a trip report from Las Vegas in mid-February. It was my first time back in Vegas since February of 2020. Both trips were around the time of the Super Bowl, but was this trip different. It was right around the time that the mask mandate had been lifted. And I would say about 20% of people, like myself, were still wearing masks, but most people were not. Most people were very eager to get back to business as usual, which is great. You need a sense of normalcy to make Vegas feel like Vegas, and I think it's back on its way there. This trip, I stayed at Caesar's Palace, which was still under renovation, both on the casino floor as well as within the hotel rooms itself, or at least it seemed or felt like that. Lots of loud construction sounds that I could hear in my room. Aesthetically and comfort-wise, it was kind of meh, but you get what you pay for, and hopefully it'll be improved for future guests. I spent my time gambling at Caesars and the Bellagio on this trip, mostly stuck to table games like roulette and three-card poker. Also spent some time on Fremont Street, visited the El Cortez for some lower limit gambling. I think it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday evening that we found some $10 craps table, which was great. I learned about the all tall, all small, make 'em all from your show. I don't think I'd ever seen that on a craps table before. Or if I had, I didn't know what it was, so I definitely wanted to try and play it this trip. I played a few rounds with a few different shooters. Maybe they'd hit 1 or 2 points, and of course they'd crap out. The next shooter up, though, was the personification of the fine, I'll do it myself meme. He took matters into his own hands. He rolled for at least an hour. He made the all small. He made the all tall. Hell, he even made the make 'em all. And of course, I was not playing it at that time, but when he needed the 2, I decided to ride that with him till he got it, and we both managed to get paid for him hitting that 2. Obviously, he got a lot more money than me, but it was still a fun ride for everybody. He made a ton of money for the table. He was still shooting when we had cashed out at the cashier's window. He might even still be there, and it's already March, so who knows? Last but not least, I definitely made an effort to get off-strip and try some restaurants and shops away from the center of Las Vegas, try to give some money to small businesses that need to see tourism pick up as well. I encourage your listeners to do the same. So if you can get that Uber, get that Lyft, get that taxi away from the Strip, and see if you can support the local economy of Vegas, they certainly need it too. That's all for now. Keep up the good work. I'm going to continue to listen, and maybe I'll actually run into you guys soon.
Nice. Thanks for calling in. It is nice to get a perspective other than sort of the male-centric, podcast that we have here. We certainly don't mean it to be that way. It could just be the nature of gambling and calling in, but we encourage all genders to come in.
Melanie calls regularly.
Yeah, every once in a while. Yeah, sure.
We do have quite a few. It's just a lot of them don't call in.
Right. Yeah. So it is nice. Yeah. She's talking about Caesar's Palace. We've heard that they have finished the construction, at least on the entrance there, and that it is very nice, but nothing particularly different. I mean, it's not significantly different. It's like, oh, it's very nice, but it doesn't blow you away.
Do it?
I'm not sure. And again, I'm just speaking on what I've heard. So we haven't actually seen it yet. But
yeah, you would expect a place like that, if they're going to make changes, it'd be significant. Like, oh, wow, this is, great, or not
Yeah.
just, oh, it's the same.
Maybe it's just an upgrade more than like a redesign or whatever.
Yeah,
but anyway,
maybe.
I'm looking
Maybe it was
forward to
just
seeing
getting
it.
old.
That could be.
know.
It's nice that
Yeah.
Caesars Entertainment is actually, trying to maintain some of their
Some of the
properties because a lot of the
Instead
others
of
look
selling
pretty bad.
them.
Oh God. And it's nice she's talking about off-strip support too. You know, if
Yes.
you have a chance to do that.
It's funny that she brings this up, and I don't hear these ahead of time. I don't see these until I get here. But
Yeah.
just last night, my wife and I were talking about how the gas prices, we were wondering if that was affecting Uber and taxi prices in a place like Vegas,
Yeah.
where people might not venture out.
Yeah,
They
right.
might go
That's-
to one hotel and just stay there because, I don't want to make a trip downtown. That'll cost a fortune.
Yeah, I
So-
bet it is going to affect some. It has to eventually if
Yeah,
these
I
prices
mean-
stay the same.
Yeah, I mean, they can't keep charging the same and gas is going up and up and up. I mean, I wonder if that'll hurt casinos.
Well, it's got to have a ripple effect. Not just casinos, but everything, right? So yeah, we'll see.
But we were just saying, someone will go and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to stay at Caesars the whole time. I'm not,
Right.
or maybe where you can walk to, but I'm not going to venture off because it's just too expensive." And really, nobody wants to. They say, "Oh, take the bus," and
Right, I know,
I
yeah,
mean,
so-
nobody really wants to do that.
Yeah,
That just-
although we will hear about a bus ride here in this next
Oh,
call.
okay.
I was about to say, though, I wonder if it's discouraging people, say, from Southern California from driving
there,
right?
yeah,
'Cause
that's
now
another thing.
All of a sudden, it's twice as much to, drive
right.
to Vegas.
It's
so.
funny. It's like us, we can go to a casino, gamble a bunch, and then on the way home, order off the dollar menu at
Yep.
some place. But it is the psychology of it. And some
It's-
people
yeah.
will be like, "Oh, I'm not going to drive to Vegas. It's so expensive. I'll just go to, Saquon. It's only a couple miles away."
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
A lot of it is psychology, and I don't want to get into politics here, but gas prices have not increased as much as other things in our society.
Right.
But it's more visible. You're driving down the street,
Yeah,
you
right.
see the prices up
Yeah,
there,
it's in
right?
your face.
It catches your eye, right? And so,
Well, and every time my gas tank is low, I think, God, I just filled it up. That's what you think. You
Yeah.
don't think, oh, I just ate. Now I got to go eat again. But gas, you think about that.
Yeah.
What I'm mad about is I can't find crackers at Costco, saltine crackers.
what?
Yeah, nobody has saltine crackers.
Saltine crackers.
we
We've
went
got
to 3 supermarkets and a Costco, could not get saltine crackers.
Oh my gosh. We may have some upstairs. I'll give them to you on
Yeah.
your way out.
I need
Micah.
saltine crackers. I can't eat chili or soup without crackers.
Well, nobody can, Mike. That's
Yeah,
crazy
yeah,
talk.
Tell me, Mark.
All right. Let's hear from Frank.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Frank from St. Louis. Have a little Las Vegas trip report. I was out there last week for 5 days because I was meeting 2 groups of friends. 5 days can be a long time. It can be disastrous if you don't pace yourself. Started right out of the get-go at the Four Queens. Lost $700 on craps. I went over to video poker, won a little back, and I was going to cash out, but I remembered I ordered a bottle of water. Didn't want to make the waitress mad. Played a little longer, and boom, hit my first royal ever for $2,000. So the onus is on you two now to catch up with me. I've been playing for a long time, never hit a royal, so that significantly changed the strategy of my trip for a positive manner. It was well worth waiting for that water. The next day, I was going to meet some friends up on the Strip. I was downtown, and I decided I was going to take the bus, which didn't show because of the route change, and ended up walking downtown up to the Strat. Finally caught the bus, met them up at the MGM, which was great. It was smoke-free. Played there a while, actually won some money betting against myself on the Don't. Went over to Ellis Island. There's $5 crap tables, but they were packed. And to playing blackjack, lost $900. Went down to the Strat, lost more money on the craps. Over to Sahara, and that was my last winning crap session with 3 days still to go. After 2 days, I was back to even. Friday, we did a downtown casino walk, pulled our money. We made one bet at each of the 12 casinos, won our first bet, and went 2-9 after the other 11. I did see Circa. It's incredibly overwhelming. It's got that top strip casino vibe. With the limited space, you can actually walk in there and get to a table. Although you have to show your ID, whether you're 21 or 91, so they keep tabs of who's ever in there. By the time I went to bed Friday, the third day, I was in red ink. Went a little back on Saturday. Saturday night downtown is like Times Square, jam-packed outside and at the tables. Good for people that want to party, not good for people that want to gamble. And my last day was Sunday, trying to get even. I believe you had a friend who has a theory that you're always up sometime in a gambling session, and I use that theory to chip away the blackjack table, whether it was a 10-minute session or a 30-minute session. I was playing double-deck blackjack, which has frequent shuffles, and after each shuffle, if I was up $50 or more, I cashed out. Can't say that it would work every time, but it did on this occasion. Got back to even and had a great time with friends. Just from notes from players' perspective, you can play 9-6 video poker at the Four Queens with signs clearly showing you the machines. I also found one at the Plaza by Dumb Luck that was mixed in with other lower-paying video poker machines. I got single-zero roulette at the Plaza, $5 craps at Ellis Island and downtown Grand during the day, 3-2 double-deck blackjack at Boyd Properties, and single-deck 3-2 at El Cortez. I also highly recommend purchasing the coupon book from the Las Vegas Advisor. It costs $37, but you'll easily get your money back several times over using the coupon. Thanks for all you do, and I look forward to being in the poker tournament. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Good to hear that there's still some good rules and low rolling downtown.
Downtown, yeah.
Right? Especially during certain times of the day. So that is good. Glad to hear that he was able to verify Stan's theory.
Yes.
That at some point
You're
in any
always
gambling, you're up. Just leave at that point. It works in the real world. Frank can attest to that. That's good to know.
I liked it. He won the Royal while he's just waiting for water.
That's fantastic.
And it got me thinking. See, that's our problem, Mark. We're always going into video poker with the idea we want to hit a Royal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We need to go in there thinking, like, oh, I'm out of money. I'll just sit here for a minute and order a drink. And then,
Okay.
oh, maybe I'll put a, little money in this machine while I'm waiting.
So that's
it's
the
like
key.
me back in the day when I was trying to talk to those two girls at Bellagio, was it, right? And I hit that $15,000.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
All I wanted to do was just, well, maybe I can talk to those two girls there.
Yeah.
But
instead you want a big
chat them
jackpot.
up. Instead I want a big, because they immediately left when I walked. This was before I was married or dating anybody. We need ulterior motives. That's my point.
Well, I just love the fact that he was ready to walk away and then thought, oh, I ordered a water from the waitress.
I'll wait.
See, that's good karma, right?
That's good
'Cause
karma.
It's just a
Yeah,
water.
'cause-
She wouldn't have been that mad. It's just water.
Well, what are they going to do with it? She's got an extra water now.
Yeah, it's a bottled water. So good for Frank.
He
I'm
had
not
two
surprised.
choices: either wait, take the water, and win a big jackpot, or just leave, and then she'd have to chuck the water up in the air.
Right, or wait till she was driving home and then throw it out of the
Throw
car
it out
window.
the car window. Yeah.
those were his two choices. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, this is Schmuckbox from South Carolina. I just got back from Embargo 2022 in Las Vegas. This is a weekend-long mixed game poker series of tournaments put on in the winter by the same fine folks that bring us the week-long version called Barge in the summer. This Embargo is held at the brand new Resorts World, and I have to say it is a fantastic casino. Everything is shiny, new, and fancy. The food options were great, and they even have complimentary soda and coffee machines in the poker room. The first poker tournament of the series was Wonky Donkey, which was an interesting game. It plays just like Hold'em, except that if the flop is predominantly black, all the players get an additional 2 cards, and the game becomes Omaha 8 until the end of the hand. It was really quite fun, and I took 4th place, which was a decent return on my buy-in. Next we had the World Chowaha Championships. I went deep in this tournament, but unfortunately I busted maybe 10 to 12 spots from the money. That same evening I played in the PLO 8 tournament, which worked out much better, and I took 1st place, though really me and the guy who was in 2nd decided on a chop and split the prize money evenly, so we both did better than 2nd place. I'm not normally an advocate of chops, but though we started heads up with me having him out chipped 4-1, he doubled up and won a few hands, and made me an offer when it was closer to 2-3 with him having the better of it. Since the chop was better than 2nd place money and the blinds were huge so anything could happen, it just seemed prudent to take it. The 4th tournament of the series was the main event No Limit Hold'em tournament. All of our tournaments this year were open field. You didn't have to be a member to play. Resorts World merged our No Limit Hold'em tournament with a regular weekly, but I think they may have used our structure. Everything went well in this tournament until it didn't, and I busted out somewhere midfield well out of the money. But that is okay, as it allowed me to play in the final tournament that evening, which was Resorts. Resorts is a 6-handed limit mixed tournament, with a rotation in-game after every 6 hands. The games were Rio Bravo, Stud 8 or better, Sack, which is also known as Scrotum, Omaha 8 or better, Raz, 2-7 triple draw, and Stud High. I managed to do another final table here, but it only paid 4 spots. When we got down to 5-handed at the final table, I was the shortest stack by far. Now you have to understand, a small group of friends and I had a last longer bet set up for each of these tournaments. In order to win the last longer, you had to both cash the tournament and be the last person in the group still playing. Figuring that I would have a hard time winning the last longer unless I had some sort of miracle double-ups, I got creative. I asked the group of remaining players if they would generously take $5 from the prize pool and make a save to pay out 5th place. They looked a little skeptical, so I lowered the request to $4. One of the players looked at the board and saw that first place paid $1,008, and he suggested we just take the $8 from there and give it to 5th place. I also explained how I would end up winning the last longer even if I cashed the tournament for this small amount of money, and it would of course be some delicious, delicious spite. They all agreed, and then the guy who suggested it be $8 realized that all of these tournament results will be submitted to Hendon Mob, so it will be recorded for posterity. We all really enjoyed this idea, and indeed I did bust out 5th shortly thereafter. I look forward to possibly holding the smallest recorded live poker tournament prize on Hendon Mob. The rest of the gambling in the casino I did wasn't all that great. Slots, pie gal, and craps dice took a huge chunk of my poker winnings, but I had fun regardless. Thanks for making the show and keeping me sane the last couple of years.
I love doing what you can to stick it to your friends.
Right. I love a guy who's willing to somehow find a loophole and screw his friends.
Yep, exactly. That's all he was trying to do.
I mean, it's a legitimate loophole. He got paid.
Yeah,
he cashed.
Yeah, that's a great story.
That might be the greatest story ever. He found a loophole to screw his friends.
I like some of these games he was talking about. I actually went to the Barge website to look some of these up. Like Wonky Donkey, we've been playing that now in our home game.
Right.
And Chowaha, which is just way too hard to explain. We couldn't even explain on the show. You need visual aids for that.
Okay.
But yeah, we've been playing some of these, so thanks, Ron.
What about Scrotum? Have you been playing that?
No, it's going to come up on this next week. We didn't have enough players. It's a split pot game.
Okay.
So I wanted to have enough players, and we didn't have a full table this last time.
Of course it's a split pot, Mark. It's Scrotum.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. All right. Next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Ariel. Quick trip report. So Harris Rincon last night was playing for a little bit, down about 200. It was kind of light on a 25 table minimum craps table. And this guy, unassuming, just started rolling. And he starts hitting the first 3 points really fast. And I looked, and I also ended up betting the progressive. So I usually never bet that, but I ended up betting the progressive. And lo and behold, this guy hit 6 numbers. So Anita, one of the dealers, pressed the progressive button, and she got 30% of the mega, which was $28,000 at the time. And there were 2 of us that had to split the pot, which was about $8,000 something. So we both got like $4,400 plus the fire bet of $5,000. So that was a pretty good pickup. Anyhow, it was a good trip. I had the room booked for 3 nights, but I ended up just leaving. So, all right. Best of luck to you guys. Keep it up. Thank you.
Oh, my God.
That's great. You hit the fire bet. You still got 2 more nights. Let's leave.
Let's leave.
Get out of here.
I'm up 9,000.
That is smart gambling.
Yeah. I'm surprised he got paid that much on that stupid progressive.
Yeah, we usually see much lower totals, like $1,200, something like that. Yeah,
$1,400.
yeah. So that's good. Good for you, Ariel.
And Anita pressed it. So
Well, that's
lucky,
why
lucky
Anita's one of our favorite dealers out there. Yeah. All right. Next up is Michael.
Hey, this is Michael from Maryland with a trip report. We just got off a cruise on the Norwegian Encore, which was a stunning, gorgeous ship. And most importantly, the casino was relatively empty, especially the cards tables, but the craps also, for the first half of the trip, very empty. Towards the end, people started realizing, hey, craps is awesome. $10 table, which we thought was great. My wife and I, we typically play the pass, plays the 6 and 8, and then we'll do come bet with odds. Great, funny, friendly crew. Myra, Moses, Alvin. Moses, in particular, had a killer impression. There was a piggy slot machine that was right behind the craps table, and anytime somebody would lose, the machine would say, see you next time, and he would just have everybody rolling with his impressions. Anyway, 7-day cruise. For some reason, just not a lot of gamblers, like I mentioned. It was just an empty casino. But the few that did play craps, it was like a band of brothers and sisters, and I could really understand how you love going to Harris down in Southern California. It's so much fun playing with these regulars. 2 things of note. There was one guy there who fancied himself like a proper dice setter, and I don't think that's real. I've listened to enough of your podcasts. Dice setting is not really a thing. but he would set a 2 and a 1, and he was hitting hards with unusual frequency. I saw it. I witnessed it multiple sessions, and I'm wondering if you have ever seen someone who just, like, you saw him setting and hitting his, what he was trying to set. Curious if you have experience of that. Also, on the last night, this was bizarre. It was a full table. It was a hot table. A guy pulls up about 2 spots away from me. He starts putting down $100 field bets, and he keeps losing. The shooter was directly to my right. The shooter's just throwing the dice. He's just doing his thing. The field better's getting visibly upset, and he turns to the shooter. He says, "You got a plan with those dice, right? You've got a plan? You're not just throwing them." And he was really upset. He lost quickly, and then he stormed off. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you for an awesome podcast. Hope to run into y'all someday, and have a great day.
I'm going to use that.
You got a plan?
Tim,
Yeah.
one of the regulars out there.
Right.
He's the perfect one. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
Tim, you got a plan with those dice, right?
Right.
You got a plan.
Try
You're not just
hard.
throwing them.
You got to try
a little harder, Tim.
We still need to moan.
Oh, the
Dice. Oh, craps.
I'll do that. Maybe next time we're out there and we're actually winning.
Yeah.
And it's been a while. I don't know. I want to do that if I'm losing. It's not going to be quite as funny. Yeah. We'll see.
It might be funny either way.
Well, I guess so.
I'd get a kick out of it.
You're right. Probably in retrospect.
You got a plan for those dice? Yeah, I got a plan. I'd like to make my point. That's my plan.
Yeah, I got a plan. Just chuck them at the guy. Yeah, here's your plan. So, yeah, Michael, sure, we've seen people, who set the dice and are hitting a ton of course, you see it, just like you see people who set and then immediately seven out.
Right.
But we've even done it ourselves. Remember there was that one trip, Mike, where we were fixated on that hard six V
the V
set,
shape,
right?
yeah, right.
And it was like, oh my gosh, Mike, we win every time we do it. Both of us were just woo, woo. It's like, wow. Then, next trip, it didn't work quite as well.
We've had some of our biggest rolls, though, on, I think your biggest roll ever, and this is your common way to roll. As soon as the dice are pushed to you, one swift motion, your hand goes over the top of the dice and throw.
Yeah, right.
One motion, and then that's your biggest roll ever. No setting or nothing. I don't mind people setting, and every once in a while I'll do it. I'll say, okay, this roll I'm going to set it to a 9 every time, 6-3 or 5-4, or a 5 or whatever, and that's fine as long as you do it quick.
Yeah, and you will see there will be times where somebody who sets it and doesn't do it quick and has a huge roll. Right? It happens.
Yeah,
right?
it happens.
We're not saying it doesn't happen. We're just saying it's not consistent. It's not something.
My favorite thing is not setting the dice or anything involving the dice. It's when your procedure involves your clothing.
Something to do with your shirt for sure.
Your shirt. You got to adjust your shirt.
Yeah.
You got to feel right. I mean, I try and wear lucky underwear every time we go.
Well, who doesn't?
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And if you get a lucky pair, after a couple of weeks, eventually your wife says, okay, I noticed that there was only one pair of underwear in the laundry this week.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And then you got to explain, well, I've been winning.
Yeah. And then she's fine with it. Yeah. All right. Last call.
Hey, guys. It's Jeff from Los Angeles. I think I might have a little AP play. Wanted to run it by you guys. It's basically doing a Doey-Don't. And I saw this on a YouTube broadcast where these people were doing this to sort of get free drinks. This was their trick. So you and your cohort go to a bubble craps table, and one will sit at one terminal. You'll sit at the one next to them, and you'll put in whatever, $300, something, and then just bet 50 or $100. One person does it on the pass line. The other person will do it on the don't pass, and then you make no more bets. So as long as you could fade a 12 coming up, your money should be even. Whenever you cash out, one person should just have an excess of the exact amount that the other person has in absence of. So it's basically doing a Doey-Don't, and you could do it at higher levels that you're used to, so it might bump up your ADT and get better comps. What do you think of this? Did I come up with a little AP play? And if not, where's the flaw in my logic? Take care, guys.
Well, if you are going to try to run something like this, it certainly is better to do it at a roll-to-win table or a mechanical
There's less
table
monitoring
than at a real craps table because they may not even rate you if they suspect you're doing something like that. But here's the thing. If it's just for free drinks, Yeah, there are a lot of ways you can get free drinks.
Yeah.
Slow play at a slot machine. Doesn't even have to be this
at
way.
Harris Rincon, just go up to the craps table, stand next to somebody. When the waitress comes around, just order a drink. They always give you one.
Yeah, so if that's what you're after, there are a lot of ways to do it.
Without risking any money.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, that's one thing. As far as, it helping your ADT, no. The amount that you will lose when those 12s do come up, you can't just say, if you fade a 12, well, yeah, sure. The 12 never comes up. Yeah, that's going to be even. But you can't say that. 1 out of every 36 times, a 12 is going to come up. And you may have some streaks where it comes up more than 1 in 36. But the amount that you will lose when that 12 does come up is way more than you'll gain in ADT. So this is not an AP move in that respect. And again, if you just want free drinks, sure, you can do it this way, but there are other probably cheaper ways to do that as well.
What's the most 12s in a row you've seen on a real dice game rolled?
I don't remember, but you saw one, right?
5.
5 in a row.
I saw 5 12s in a row in Vegas once.
Wow.
So there you go. I mean, it happens.
Well, sure, anything happens. And you could go, 2 hours and never see a 12, right? I mean, we've seen stuff like that.
Well, how many times have we been like at Rincon, for instance, and an hour into it, we said, 4 hasn't been rolled.
I know. It's like this whole time we've been here, there's been no 4. It's
right.
like, you're right.
What? And we think about it, it's like, we've been here an hour and there's been no 4 rolled.
All right, so Biloxi's. We're going to have one more episode before I leave for the Biloxi trip. You're still not
good. Physically, I can't do.
It's interesting because I had talked about how what I might do is I'm flying into New Orleans regardless, and maybe I thought I'd stay one night at Harrah's New Orleans and then move to Biloxi after that. Well, listener Taylor reminded me that that's Final Four weekend. And the Final Four is in New Orleans.
Right.
So he was saying that, he was looking to comp room. He couldn't get a comp room there.
No, I imagine.
Even, as 7-star, you'd still have to pay. So
Yeah.
Luckily, at that point, I'd already decided I was not going to even try to stay at Harrah's New Orleans.
Right.
I thought,
it's not really worth it.
Need the hassle of, taking my bags and everything. Instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to rent a car. Well, I'm going to land in New Orleans. I'll swing by Harrah's New Orleans on the way to Biloxi just to check it out, just to say I've been there, just to look around and then continue on. So
that way you only have to take your toothbrush out of your luggage once.
Exactly. And that's a big deal.
That's something that matters.
Yeah, says the dentist. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some recurring donations. From Jeremy at the Color Up Craps YouTube channel, from James, from Kurt, from Robin at Anytime Gambling, and from Nathan. Thank you very much for those recurring donations. We also got a donation from Shay, Karma donation for trip to Biloxi this weekend. So hopefully you had some luck there, Shay. Let us know how it went.
He played in the tournament, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he played in the tournament. He was able to get back to play, yeah. Also a donation from Michael, Karma donation for quick Wendover trip. Excellent. We have to go to Wendover sometime. Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's not really practical for us to go, but man, if you live in Utah there, it sounds like it's just a great location to go play. And finally, a donation from Double Up to Catch Up, Karma donation for an upcoming 36th birthday trip, April 7th through the 10th, from my wonderful girlfriend. 1 night at Bellagio and 2 nights at New York, New York, thanks to my Vegas redemptions. Oh, good. Hopefully this will bring me luck on the craps table. Oh, well, good luck.
Now, his girlfriend wants to take him to Vegas for his 36th.
Yes, that's what it sounds like.
That's what he's saying? Wow.
Yeah.
Might want to consider marrying her.
Yeah. What did your girlfriend do for your 36th birthday?
Boy, I don't know. Did I have one?
Of course you didn't, Mike. No. It was a trick question.
A birthday or a girlfriend.
Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonthat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonthat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonthat and on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonthat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review of the show. We love getting your feedback. Mike, baseball's on its way.
Yes, finally. I guess they're going to have a full season.
Yep.
Supposedly. I mean, I don't know. They're going to try and, you said, work in doubleheaders.
Well, if they can, they'll play on
days.
games when they were originally going to be off. If they have to, they'll play doubleheaders.
Somehow this is going to screw the Padres. I just know it.
Talking about screwing the Padres, right? Tatis Jr. is out for, what they say, 3 months?
At least 3 months.
Oh, man. Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, hurt his wrist, supposedly. It wasn't in the motorcycle accident, though.
It wasn't?
No, he made sure it wasn't.
Okay.
It was when he was chopping wood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
chopping wood.
Chopping wood.
He's nothing in his contract says he can't chop wood. Huh?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but he did promise the team, this is what I read, he promised the team that he would never ride a motorcycle again.
Okay. Yeah.
At least till his baseball career's over.
Yeah. So what do you think of the new rules then for baseball?
Okay, we should go over that.
So
there's
like
new rules.
Designated hitter now in both leagues. What do you think?
Yeah, that one I can deal with. I'm not a big fan of the DH.
Yeah.
Because I like the fact that a player has to do everything.
Yes, and I used to hate the DH for that reason. I love the purity of, hey, if you're playing on defense, you play on
offense, right?
But I've kind of softened, even though I still prefer not to have it.
I understand why they do it. And from the player's point of view, from the players' union, it's one more player.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's huge.
It's another player who's going to get a big contract.
But, pitchers are not like other players. Pitchers cannot play every day.
Right.
And generally, they're not good hitters. Unless you're Ohtani, right?
Right.
You can't really
occasionally
hit.
There's one or two that are
every
pretty
once
good
in a while
hitters.
somebody breaks through.
Yeah.
So since it's that way, it's like I have softened. It's like, okay, I'm kind of on board with the DH now, so that doesn't bother me too much. Yeah.
Right. Okay, but the one rule I don't like that they've instituted is bigger bases.
Well, that's only going to happen next year, though.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a part of it.
Well, they're going to try it out.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, bigger bases.
Well, it's for...
I didn't want bigger like in length. I wanted taller.
Oh, okay.
Taller like a
bases.
pillar that you had to like grab onto.
Right. And then you had to kind of jump on top of it when you're standing on it. Right.
That'd be more exciting.
Actually, a pillar would be good. You could grab it. Might be more
around
concussions, but it's not a bad way to go.
What are the other changes?
They're talking about banning the shift, which I would not like that. I love the fact that they figured out a way to... My feeling is, other than the pitcher and the catcher, obviously, the remaining 7 players can be wherever they want.
Right. If you want to put them all in left field, put them all in left field. I mean, why ban somebody for being smart?
I know. And I understand why they're doing it is because they want more offense in the game, right?
But if a guy can't hit the ball to, say, field, why are you putting a guy out there? Put him...
Plus, it is fun when a guy beats the shift.
Right.
Suddenly there's this huge gap at shortstop, right? And there's nobody closer, and he hits
It's
him.
more fun or funner to beat the shift than to not have a shift, I think.
Okay, but anyway, that's also next year, so we'll see.
And I guess last thing I should say, I want to make a little confession. I bet some money on my daughter's lacrosse game.
Oh, yeah?
So, if that means I can't do this podcast anymore, it's up to you. You're the commissioner.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You're giving me an out here. That if I want to kick you off the show, I actually have reason.
You have reason.
Now.
I bet on my daughter's lacrosse game.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Mike. I will get back to you.
Yeah. See what the rules committee says about that.
All right.
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
NCAA tournament. Get
of
all
course.
Your brackets filled.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's huge. It's exciting.
March Madness. Have fun,
look
everybody.
for San Diego State to go all the way.
Really?
Yeah, all the way.
Wow.
Hey, seriously, if they win their first round matchup, they'll most likely be playing Kansas in the second round. Mm-hmm. They might be able to beat them.
All right. Well,
they're a team that can play good at times.
At least they made it.
They made it. They can play good at times. They're only as good as they want to be.
Yeah, it's been an up and down season, and it might be an up and down tournament for
them. But enjoy the
down.
tournament. It's always fun no matter what. It's one of my funnest things every year is to watch that tournament.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
El Cajon? That's the anus of San Diego.